Welcome everyone. This is Tuesday, January 6, 2026. It's 6:35 p.m. This is the Finance Committee meeting, and I'd like to call the meeting to order with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under Mass GL Chapter 30A, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. On March 28, 2025, Governor Healy signed a law which extends the temporary provisions pertaining to the open meeting law to June 2027. Specifically, this further extension allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of public body physically present at a meeting location, and to provide adequate alternative access to remote meetings. This language does not make any substantive changes to the open meeting law other than extending the expiration of the temporary provisions regarding remote meetings from March 31st, 2025 to June 30th, 2027. All right, well, welcome everyone. So tonight we have 4 budget meetings that we're going to do, which are Veteran Services, Library, Council on Aging, and then IT. But before we get started with that, I would just like to wish a warm welcome to our new town administrator. Chris Vitale is here. So hello, Chris. Nice to meet you. If you want to say hi to everybody, we'd appreciate getting your introduction.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the invitation tonight. Week 2 in the position as town administrator. I know that Jim worked very closely with your committee in the preparation of the budget at a town meeting annually. I appreciate the work that each of you do in preparation for the town meeting, especially this time of year where there's multiple departments coming before you with their requests. With that, my hope is, as I dive deeper into the budget and we finalize our figures, we can have some good discussions and present something to town meeting that will get their support and approval. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. Well, welcome to Westport. So we'll be seeing a lot of you in the next couple of months. So thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so we are going to get started. And Chris, do you go by Chris or Christopher? What's your preference?
I'll take Chris.
Chris, okay, great, good to know. So we're going to talk about budgets, and as we do that, we feel free to raise your hand and chime in if you can offer any answers to anything. We don't expect that you have all the answers yet, but since it's been a week, but just raise your hand and we'll make sure we address it for you. All right, so we are going to start off with the Veteran Services with Carol Freitas. Hi, Carol.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I do have my presentation if you'd like me to share my screen.
That would be terrific. I will let you run the show.
Okay. Can you see that?
We can.
Okay. So basically, my budget has a very, very minimal increase, 0.55%. The majority of that is just from my salary line, as per my contract. The other $50 is from a software increase that I didn't find out about until after I submitted my budget to Jim, and he just said, modify it and don't worry about the $50. So there's a 10% increase in software for $50, like I mentioned. What that is actually, I'm not going to jump ahead. I'm sorry. 60% increase in travel, 13% in meetings and schools, but I'm offsetting the travel and meetings and schools with decreases in postage and office supplies. So my total budget request is $416,000 from $414,000 and change. So this is the overview of the budget. You can see the FY27 proposed, how much I'm requesting, what the difference is, and what the percentage change is. So the veterans benefits and the medics line, as you all know, is the majority of my budget. It's $330,000, I believe, this year. So I'm not making any proposed changes to it. Just to refresh, it is a state mandated program, the Chapter 115, and any eligible recipient who applies must receive the benefits, which is why I'm always hesitant to reduce the line item, because if I do increase my caseload and we need the money has to be found. So I have been overfunding it for numerous years, just in case there's any, huge increase in numbers. It is difficult to predict the expenses for this. As an example, in the last couple of years, we've had just 2 recipients who have received multiple, like, thousands of dollars in dental work. One was about $12,000, the other one was about $3,000. And I just never know who's going to need that kind of comprehensive dental work. Hearing aids, which could run, $3,000 a pair. So it is difficult to predict that. And again, we are getting reimbursed by the state 75% because I am certified. I just completed my 3-year certification again in September of last year. We do currently have 28 active cases with 31 recipients, because 3 of them are married couples. It is down from a high of 47 in 2019. And that decrease is a statewide trend. Unfortunately, people are aging, they're passing away, they're moving to nursing homes. And so across the state, the numbers are going down substantially. So the medics line that we use to pay pharmacies, so it's vendors directly. So pharmacies, dentists, hearing aid providers, but we also pay funeral homes occasionally. We don't do a lot of that here in Westport, but I just put that in there to note that that funeral benefit is not just for Chapter 115 clients. That is for any veteran or a veteran spouse who dies without the means to pay for the cost of their funeral. The maximum reimbursement is $4,000, and the total cost of the funeral cannot exceed $5,000. And then I just put in here that the average age of the current recipients, the 31 recipients, is 82 years old. We have one who's 50. Beyond that, they're all 70 plus. The highest age we have is 97. So it is likely that the funeral benefit is something that we may be paying more of going forward, as unfortunately the recipients do pass away. Any questions so far? So the benefits line, I put in here just kind of some averages. This is for December, what we've paid out. And I broke this out just so you can see within the Chapter 115 program, we can pay what's called like a shelter benefit, or they call it ordinary benefit. We can help with fuel, heating costs for their homes. We can reimburse for medical premiums, including like Life Alert necklaces, things like that. So I broke it out by how many people are receiving each combination of benefits. So if they're just receiving the shelter benefit, if they're receiving just shelter and medical, shelter and fuel, or all of them, or if they're just receiving fuel and medical. Medical only is for people whose income is too high and they don't qualify for the fuel and shelter. And the number of people receiving that on there, and how much is the average monthly benefit. So you can kind of see, about what we spend. It's about $19,000 to $20,000 a month is what we're spending right now. I did want to mention down at the very, very bottom that of the 31 recipients, 29 of them have Medicare Part B and are enrolled in the Medicare Savings Program. So that's a program for low-income Medicare B recipients, regardless if they're a veteran or not. Anybody who's in Medicare and meets the income criteria can apply for that. And it saves the town $185 per month per recipient, because we're no longer reimbursing that. That's paid by Mass Health. So that's about $64,000 in savings just in 2025, because every Chapter 115 recipient who is eligible is enrolled, and I make sure that they stay enrolled. So I'm saving the town substantial amount of money. And that's a big reason why we've been under, like we haven't spent nearly as much as we have been budgeted because of that savings. In addition to that, when you have that Medicare savings program, their Medicare Part D prescription premium is often reduced or eliminated, and there's a cap on their prescription copays. So that's a huge savings as well. So then getting into my other line items, celebrations, VFW and American Legion, excuse me, telephone, dues, and miscellaneous. I'm not proposing any changes. The celebrations, that generally is used to purchase the wreaths for the Memorial Day and Veterans Day ceremonies. The VFW and American Legion, that is per state law, Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 9, where we pay, it's been budgeted $2,100 for as long as I've been here. I've never increased it. We used to have 4, then we went down to 3, and now we have 2 veterans organizations who receive it. So I just split the cost between them. The telephone, that's the reimbursement of my cell phone, because I do use my personal cell phone for work purposes quite often. So I get reimbursed $50 a month for that per my contract. The dues, that is for the associations that I belong to, the Massachusetts Veteran Service Officer Association, Southeastern Massachusetts Veteran Service Officer Association, and NAC VSO. I do have a little bit more in there for American Legion. They sometimes have been paying for my membership, but just in case, I put that in there. And then the $500 miscellaneous is for if there's any budget shortfalls somewhere, or if I have to make any kind of a miscellaneous purchase. So no changes to those line items. The postage and office supplies, I am requesting decreases because I don't do a lot of mailings. I don't need the $500 postage budget. And the office supplies, I don't do a lot of really big office supply purchases either. So I am decreasing those to offset the increases in the other line items that I'm going to mention, which is, again, the software support. The state requires that we use this web-based software called Tyler Veterans Benefits to do VA claims. So that is increasing from $500 to $550 this year. And then the travel, I'm requesting an increase of $600, and the meetings in schools just by $150 increase. And the reason for that is, you know, the mileage goes up. I'm very active in the associations. I do go to all of the meetings. We have a conference down like the Cape, Plymouth area every year. We have a conference in Leominster every year, multiple conferences in Leominster every year, plus quarterly meetings for the Southeastern VSO Association that we rotate around our region. So I do travel quite a bit. And then the hotel registration, you know, is increasing. The food increases. So when we go to the conferences and we have to pay for food, those costs are higher. So that's why I'm requesting those increases. And that's my presentation.
Well, thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
And we had the presentation in advance, so that's very helpful that we can look at all those numbers that are really hard to see on the screen. So thank you.
And I did just want to mention, I know Hugh has his hand up. I just want to mention for the veterans graves, which is for the flags, I am not requesting a change, and I believe that's $2,000 this year. I use that to purchase the cemetery flags for Memorial Day. And again, that is also reimbursed at 75% from the state.
Great, thank you. Hugh, you have your hand up, so go ahead.
Yeah, it's a very good presentation, Carol. Thank you. I'm generally familiar, as you know, but what is the ceiling, or where's the cutoff for eligibility for this program?
So right now, let me get that for you. So right now, for a single recipient, the income limit is $2,935 a month. And for a married recipient, it's $3,966 a month. In addition to that, there's an asset limit. So for a single recipient, the asset limit is $8,400. And for a married couple, it's $16,600. So the asset limit is a hard limit. So if you're above it, you can't be on the program until you spend down some money. The income is a little bit flexible because if somebody's, maybe $50 over, $100 over, then it goes into what we call a spend down, where we take however much they're over and subtract it from one of their Medicare premiums and then reimburse the difference.
Mhm. Is there a 8,000 obviously is not much in the way of assets. Does that not include a home or something like that, or is it a hard dollar value?
It does not include their home, and it does not include one vehicle. But if they have multiple vehicles, multiple homes, it would include those.
So you can have a house and a car and be eligible. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions for Carol? Carol, I think you're good.
All right. Thank you
Thank you
much.
very much for your presentation. Appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much. Have a great night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Have a great night. Thank you. So before we go on, I failed to do a quick roll call of who we have present for the Finance Committee, so we're required to do that since we have a remote meeting. I did it before we started the meeting. So we have Finance Committee members Cindy Brown, Duncan Law, Hugh Morton, Christopher Thrasher, Nancy Stanton Cross, and myself. We're all here. The three absent are Gary Carrero, Zach LeBrew, and Al Lees. So I just wanted to do a roll call for the record. Okay, so the next budget we're going to do is the library, and I believe Bonnie is here. Hi,
Yes,
Bonnie.
hello, everyone. Hi.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening. So I'll turn it over to you. We received all your materials in advance, and so we have all those. So I don't know if you were going to present anything on screen or just talk us through whatever you'd like to do.
Okay, I was just going to talk through what I had sent over to you already. I thought I would start going over a couple of our really big projects that we finished last year, and then I'll get into the financial portion of it. Last year, we received a grant from the Manton Foundation to do an upgrade on our security and accessibility to the building. So we have brand new automatic doors. We had security cameras installed, and we had a walkway down to our outdoor seating area. So we can now officially have programs over there, which is great. And we will be having in the spring, we kind of ran out of time in the fall, but we're getting some landscaping put in. We received a grant from Bay Coast Bank, and we got a generous donation from the estate of Richard Anderson, which allowed us to get all new carpeting throughout the entire building, which has made everything look so much newer. We got new signage. It looks great in there. I would invite, if you haven't been over to the library in a while, I invite you all to come see what we have done. And then finally, last time I spoke to you, or I tried to speak to you, my computer was not working. We had asked to spend some of the money that had been put aside for staffing that we didn't use to get the study pods, which I attached pictures of in the packet, and they are amazing. They've made a huge difference in our library because we are a big open space. Quiet spaces are a huge problem for us, so they have been great. So thank you for that. And then our friends of the library have their huge book sale every year and raise a lot of money for us. And they have given us some donations to redo our children's section. So we have a new play area, new toys for our play group on Tuesday mornings, and we are very appreciative of them as well. For day-to-day, beyond our big projects, we have seen an increase in all of our numbers this year. The amount of people coming into the library, we average about 5,000 people a week coming in. And we had our biggest circulation numbers, which I'm really excited about personally because that includes digital items, but everyone always wonders is, are physical books going to be going away? And I can very much say that they are not. Our circulation last year was over 95,000 items. And based on the numbers for the first half of the year, I think we'll be well over 100,000 items next year, which I think is fantastic. The people in Westport are big readers, which is great. Let's see. So when it goes into our actual budget request, most of our budget is for staffing. We have 4 full-time people, myself, the assistant director, and 2, we call them principal clerks, but basically they run the circulation desk. And then we have 3 part-time library aides who work about 15 hours a week, and 1 custodian. So our major portion of our budget request, $331,619, would be staffing for next year. And then the rest of the budget, the rest is $31,850, is basically just to run the building. I kind of think of it as the town funds give us, electricity, internet, telephone, things like that for the physical building. And then our Friends of the Library group and our grants and things like that pay for the library parts of it, like books and things like that. So we have, I think, basically it's the same as it's been for the last 2 years. It's level funded. I did move tuition and training. I was getting the $500 tuition reimbursement, but I graduate in May with my master's in library science. So for next year, we won't be needing that. So I moved $50 down to postage and $450 to the professional services. And that's actually, I feel, one of our most important line items. The $11,000 goes towards the projected cost of our membership assessment to the Sales Library Network, which actually will be $17,813 for FY27. The town has historically paid $11,000 for that. And that allows us to be part of the Sales Library Network, which is all the libraries in the South Coast area, Dartmouth, Fall River, New Bedford, all of those. And that allows all of our cardholders in Westport to get reciprocal borrowing privileges, so they can go into any library in Massachusetts and be able to use their Westport card there. It also gives us, through the network, things like we get extra IT support and things like that. Our databases are all through there. And our, if anyone reads ebooks, our Libby subscription, which is our big ebook app, that is through the sales network. We all pitch into that, and it's not something that we would be able to afford on our own. So that is very important also. Let's see. And then that's basically what we are asking for from the town this year. Everything else is paid for with the grants we get as being state certified. And then we get, we have some trust funds that people have donated that all of our book purchases are paid for out of those. So is there any questions? That is basically what I had to say.
I've got a question for you, Bonnie. So thank you for that presentation. So, and you might have said it, but or I might have missed it, but could you explain the total expenses of the library, how much those are, and what is the percentage that the town pays for in terms of those expenses? Did you go over that? Did I miss that?
No, I didn't actually get into that
Okay.
too much. The town pays for all of our staffing, and then they pay for basically utilities, office supplies, things like that, which is the request is for, it comes to about $363,000. We also have to pay, as part of our state accreditation, we have to spend a certain amount on materials every year. So for next year, the minimum is $52,000. So that $52,000 has to come mostly from the Friends of the Library and also from the grants we get from the state because we are state certified. So that's, I have to reapply for that every year. So they require a minimum amount from the town for the library, and then we have to hit certain benchmarks for other things we've spent. So anything extra that is library specific, books and materials, programming, things like that, those all come from either donations or trust funds. So I don't have the number in front of me, but it's, I would say probably about 70% comes from other funding and about 30% comes from the town.
Okay, thank you. That was an important, I think that's an important piece to show.
Absolutely, yes.
Right, because so little of the town is actually funding the library. So thank you for that. So just an approximate, that's an enormous number, or small number, I should say.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for that question.
in relation to the whole. So thank you.
Thank
Hugh, go ahead.
I just want to know, as everything knows, the library could not live entirely on donations and such because to get the state contribution requires a minimum amount from the town.
Yes,
So
that's
that
correct.
not only does the town, it's nice to have that combination of town and private, but the town is essential not only for the dollars, but for proportion that the state requires.
Yes, we have to have a certain amount of money to remain state certified. There is, there's always a process. We can appeal it, but and being part of the sales network is the number one thing that we absolutely need to be able to run the library effectively. We get a lot from that, not just the grants and everything that we're able to get, but all of the things that are, the reciprocal lending and things like that. So yes, it is very important that we get our minimum requirement from the town.
Karen, you're on mute. Karen, you're on mute.
I'm on mute. Thank you. Thank you. I was actually asking Duncan to go on mute because he had some background, but he must have heard me without me even saying. Does anyone have any other questions for Bonnie? I don't see any other hands up. Nope. Well, Bonnie, thank you very much for your presentation and all that you do at the library. So it's impressive to see your stats are just continuing to stay consistent and increasing with the number of users that keep coming into the library. So that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see. And
Yeah.
I think with, the prices rising everywhere else, having free options at the library is going to be so much more important for people coming up.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, our next budget meeting is the Council on Aging. And Beverly, I believe, is here.
Hi, everybody. Good evening.
Hi there.
Hi. Cindy, the last form that I sent you, did you send it to everybody? You're on mute, Cindy.
Sorry.
That's
It's in the drive.
Okay.
It was uploaded to the drive. So I think it will automatically open to the same sheet that I had mistaken. So we'll just have to direct people to open it to
Just open
sheet
sheet
2
Yeah.
if you reference it, but it is in the drive.
Okay. Because I want to start with that one because that's
Okay.
the one where I made a change. Actually, the budget that I put in for 27, and the town administrator's recommendation was exactly the same. There wasn't any changes, but the biggest change, pretty much my expenses haven't really gone up very, very much at all. They went from 50,026 to 53,027. But my wages, the driver's line item, almost doubled. And the reason for that, if you happen to see that sheet 2, the cost to the town in 25 for just drivers was $58,743. And I had been allowed, let me see. I don't have I think I was allowed 33,000 or something like that. And the reason we spent 58,000 there, and I had that money to spend, was because I had two long-time staffers leave, and I had extra money in their line item, so I could put it over from my principal clerk. Josh left to go to the library, I believe, and I didn't have a principal clerk for 6 months. And then my janitor also went to the library, and he left. And both of those were at the top of their pay grade. So by the time I hired somebody in, the salary was much less than what was needed, and I was able to use those funds for the drivers. One of the things I typically try to do is use our transportation revolving account, because there's 6 different ways that we can get transportation money in for the whole transportation program itself. So you have formula grant, AREW, Bristol Elder Services grant, the town supportive day program, and transportation revolving. And I didn't get any money from I didn't have any expenses with AREW, but I did get some money from AREW because they're paying supportive day program clients to go in. They pay for the transportation service for us. And I had a grant from Bristol Elder Services this year. I applied for 2 grants. I'm not getting the grant from Bristol Elders this year for transportation. I'm not getting the AARP grant for transportation like I had applied for. The only thing I did do this coming up year, and I'm hoping to get it because there's much more competition on the grant side everywhere across the board. So I applied for 6 grants in the spring. I got 1. I got the DOT transportation. I got the new van, and it's coming in June of 26. I got none of the others. 2 from MCOA I did not get. 2 from Bristol Elders I did not get, and I did not get the one from AARP. So considering, let's see, 60% of my budget is paid for by grants and 40% is paid by the town. I think we would struggle if I couldn't put that in. I don't have it in this year, and I'm afraid, I'm hoping I don't have to struggle. But I did apply to DOT this year. This is the first year that the Southeastern Regional Transit Authority is allowing us to apply for operational funds. Southeastern Regional Transport never allowed operational funds, only funds for vans. But like GATRA and other regions did, but they've changed that this year. So I applied for $75,000 for operational funds. I won't find out until probably January, or the end of January or February. And I'm not exactly sure when that starts. Each one starts different fiscal year. So I'm kind of hoping that goes through.
So Beverly,
because-
before you,
yes.
can I just ask, I just want to, you've given us a lot of information already. I just want to try to summarize it in a way that helps me understand, and maybe everyone else can understand too. So your budget is similar to what the library is, where your total expenses, only a portion of you're asking the town to fund your expenses, and you cover most of your expenses. You said 60% of your expenses through other sources of funds. Right?
Yes. Donations and grants. Yes. Yes.
Okay. And so what you are specifically talking about the drivers, because on your budget, everything else that you're asking for the town is flat, with the exception of the drivers, that you've gone from 38,000 to 60,000 as your
Yes.
request.
Yes.
That's a function of not necessarily that you need more drivers, but the fact that you don't have a funding source that you had in a previous year to cover that. Is that,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. And the transportation revolving account, normally we were seeing a little bit of an increase, but we've had to use some of that. And I only had $12,000 starting this year out, and that's very, very low. My transportation revolving account is what we get from people giving us reimbursements for, and it's all donations to transportation. So the other thing that happened in 2025 is we spent $12,000 on vehicle repair because we have older vans. We have a 2014, a 2018, a 2021, and 2 minivans. And of course, we have to keep them running. We had just about 6,000 rides in 2025. 5,900 and some change for folks. And those rides are critical because I say this every year. There's 160 miles of roadway in Westport, and there's only 6 miles of public transportation on Route 6. So people would be stuck if they didn't have any other options for transportation. And many of our folks we do door to door. We don't do curb to curb. We do door to door. So when somebody comes down the stairs and they have a walker, we have the drivers get out of the van and they assist people to make sure that they can get into the van. Most of our transportation is supportive day program and medical appointments. we do shopping and errands and other things, you know, in between. But, you know, I would say probably 75 to 80% is supportive day program and medical appointments for people.
Now, Beverly, you assess a fee for the transportation, or is it only donation?
Only donation. Well, I can't say that. It's donation for anybody that does medical appointments, comes to the center. But when we have an agreement with one of our funders, ARAW, the Association for the Relief of Aged Women, they pay for low-income women to come to our supportive day program, and they give us an amount for the transportation also. So they pay that daily fee and they pay for transportation. And in January, we just increased our fees. And the supportive day program, we were doing $5 one way and $10 round trip, which, you know, really is very, very minimal. We went to $7.50, I think, one way and $15 round trip. I think something like that. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but we just went up a small increase.
But you also increased some other fees at the Senate, correct?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We our supportive day program went from $50 a day to $60 a day starting in January, and we had an increase since June of 21. So it'd been quite a few years. We increased our exercise classes from 25 a month to 30 a month. Our balance and bones class from $12 a month to $15 a month. And we wanted to keep it reasonable for people because we don't, you know, we're not trying to make money, but we want to be able to cover our costs. So that's why we looked at everything. And I was very careful with looking at what other centers get for transportation and get for their supportive day program. Some of the centers are getting $75 to $95 a day for their supportive day program, and some places are paying $18 to $20 round trip for transportation. So, you know, I wanted to make it reasonable. We try to consolidate trips. So if we have people who are Tuesdays our shopping day, so now we're not doing 2, 3, and 4 days where we're going to the same place. We just do shopping on Tuesdays. So we usually have 5, 6, 7 people who go together and they're going to the same places.
Now, how many do you keep a census as far as how many unique individuals, how many individuals you serve through the town? I know you also serve other communities. People from other communities come here as well.
Yes.
But in total, how many individuals have you serviced out of the center?
We usually, there's my number for my formula grant right now is 5,890 some people over 60 and older. We probably serve 2,500 of those people out of Westport, but some of those people come 2, 3 days a week. They do exercise programs, they do supportive day. Some of those people come once a year to do their taxes, or every 3 months to go to the podiatrist. So it's very, very individualized with how many people we serve. There's still a whole group of people out there that we don't reach. And it's really interesting because we're getting out in the community more. We're now doing our monthly select board, advisory board meeting on cable so that people can see it. And we'll have people come into the center to look for some medical equipment, and they'll say, "Oh, I didn't know you had a supportive day. I didn't know you did exercise." And some of the people that come in to supportive day with their family think it's a nursing home and we have beds. And we say, "No, nobody stays overnight. We don't have any beds. It's okay. You just come for the day." So, you know, it's really interesting that the perception, as long as we've been doing this and as much as we try to get out there and outreach, there's still a lot of people who don't know about us. We'll get referrals from the police or the fire department because they've been to somebody's home who fell or needs some assistance. The police or fire will call us, do a referral to our outreach program, and outreach will get out there and put some services in place to help them. And then they say, "Wow, I didn't know that you did that." And it's hard to get to everybody, to reach people. Oh, you're on mute.
I might be a bit premature in saying this, but just for the benefit of those either watching the call, listening to the call, and certainly our members here, this is your final season here as director. Is that correct?
It is. I sent in my, I will be sending in my resignation for August 31st, 2026.
So this is your last budget year.
This will be my last budget year. So I want to go out with a bang. I want to make sure that things are in place so that
Well,
we can, we can help.
You are certainly a very resourceful person, and there are no dimes left on the carpet after you've gone through the room. That's for sure. I mean, you managed to find the resources that have served so many of the seniors here in town and beyond in just getting the word out. So thank you so much for all you've done. Over how many years have you been the director?
I'm in my 11th year.
Yeah. So thank you so much for all of your hard work, and hopefully you're going to be able to enjoy your retirement.
I hope so. And I did send over a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if people had a chance to look at it. It just talked about the wages being 40% of the town pays 40% of the wages. The expenses, they pay 43%. And then it talked about revenue and expenses. And of course, if you look at that, 20 and 21, you kind of have to throw that out because of COVID. That just doesn't make sense. But you can see that the revenue since 22 or 23 has been decreasing a little bit, and the expenses have kind of gone up. So, I'm looking at those trends and saying, okay, we need to be really careful with how we're doing this. And then the percent of town funds versus the percent of grant funds. During COVID, the town paid a lot because there weren't as many people here. The supportive day program was closed. We didn't do activities. So the town paid for the staff. They pay for 2 full-time staff, 1 part-time janitor, and then the drivers, and they pay for that. And then the grants weren't coming in as much either. We didn't need them. We had formula grant and others. But as you can see, it goes up. The town's percentage goes down, and the grant amounts go up over the last 3 or 4 years. So the biggest amount, like last year, was my budget was 241,949. I'm looking at this. I need a magnifying glass. It's so small. And it's going. I'm proposing 270,000. And like I said, that biggest increase is in that driver line item. Most of the others are just a little tweaking here and there, but not a lot. Expenses are still pretty reasonable for us. Anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to ask you, Morton, I assume your population is not declining.
Oh,
So
no.
Matter of grants, fewer grants, is that why revenues have declined? I know they're hit or miss. You get them when you get them.
No,
Is
it's not.
there any
It's
other
not.
trend?
It's not fewer grants. It's more competition. So I applied for 2 for MCOA for SIG grants, which is a service incentive grant, and I didn't get those. And I've been getting those 1 or 2 every year. Bristol Elder Services, Bristol Aging and Wellness now. I applied for 2 Title III grants, didn't get those. And I've been getting those since 2020. My technology, I don't really need them for technology, but I applied for supportive day, scholarships, and transportation. I didn't get either one of those. They had MC, just as an example, Mass Councils on Aging, they have a service incentive grant. They have $600,000, I believe, in their budget to spend on grants for people above and beyond the formula grant. And this year they had over $2 million in requests for the 600,000. So again, there was a lot more competition. And I think they're trying to spread some of the granting to newer COA directors who have started so that they can kind of, bring them into the fold. But I'm always looking. Like I said, I applied for 75,000 for DOT because I found out that they were going to do the operations grant. So I applied for that. I'm hoping to get some of that, or even if they give me a partial, I said that would be okay. And I did just apply for $250,000 with the Cultural Council about this has nothing to do with my budget, but about possibly assisting us with refurbishing and reappointing the old high school. So I'm hoping to get that. That would be great if we could do that, because then I'd have some money for the town to be able to work on that. That's what I said my goal was for this year, is to get that, get us into the old high school for our activities and our events, our activities and our classes. I want to keep the center, the 75 Reed Road Center, as our social service center with our outreach and our supportive day. And I would like some of the activities to go over to the old high school. And it's, you know, and our education, and it falls right within the code. So I'm hoping that some of those funds come through.
Well, thank you for
Bev, I
that.
just, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Hugh.
Just say
go
thank
ahead.
you for the background. It's useful.
Thank you. Bev, I just have just a really quick question on you were mentioning that you didn't get some of the grants this year. Is it because other COAs got the grants, or did the pool of dollars decline? So are the funding sources dwindling, and so there's less dollars to go?
No, the funding is the same. It's $600. It's
Okay.
pretty level funded across the board. It's that usually they have maybe 30, there's 351 towns and cities, which means there's 351 COAs. And anybody can apply for, if you're a member of Mass Councils on Aging, which most of us are, they can apply. But instead of having like 30 different COAs, I think they had somewhere like 150 to 200 different COAs that applied. So it was over $2 million that people were asking for money. So again, it's the competition, because other things I think I think people are finding that it's more difficult. Maybe they're not getting donations. Maybe, you know, the formula grant's going up. It's going up to $16 per elder. It was at $15 last year. So that's an extra $6,000 in our budget for the year. But my concern is this year, the formula grant was $15 per elder. I got half of it in November, and they're supposed to be giving us the second half somewhere February, March. But I'm concerned because they're also talking about 9C cuts. And if they do 9C cuts, that might be on the block. So that's why I'm a little cautious on what I'm using right now and how I'm using the funds to make sure that I don't run out of, I mean, I think we're in good shape, but there's always those 9C cuts that can come through with the state. And then I would have to, or I would have to use like my Salvador fund, or use,
Yep.
use something else. I do have extra, and I try to be frugal around some things. That's one of the reasons why I did increase the fees this year in January, knowing that if we don't get that extra money for the 45,000 from formula, that I have other fees coming in for transportation and others. One year, when funds were tight, we had to shut down transportation 1 day a week. And I told people, call the town hall, call the select board, because, we don't have a choice. We don't have the funds to do it. And I don't have anything to draw from. That was our money that came in through Bonnie Frank. That grant went away. We used to get, I think we got $150,000 in like 2010 or 11. And then every year we'd get 3,000 or 4,000 more sort of to refurbish it. And when I was here, it started in 2015. By 2017, I believe it went away. There was nothing. That and the building fund, both of those were gone. So it's been about looking at where I can get money from.
All right. Well, thank you for that, answering that. Does anyone else have any questions for Bev? And then we can let her enjoy the rest of her night. Nope, Bev, I don't see any more questions. So thank you very much for everything you do. And
Thank you. Happy New
congratulations,
Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Bev.
congratulations on your
Thank you.
retirement.
Yeah, thank you. Well,
Thank
it
you.
was supposed to be October last year. And
Oh,
because of some of I had a new principal clerk and the town administrator changing and everything changing, everybody said, can you still hold on? They still don't want me to go. I mean, they're still telling me, oh, you can stay another year. You can stay another year. But in July, I'll be 70. So I'm kind of ready,
great.
So I'm ready. So
All right. Well, thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Okay, take care. Thank you. All right, so our last budget meeting of the night is IT. And I think I saw Chris Novo is here.
It's Keith, I'm here.
Keith, did I say Chris? I said Chris. I'm sorry. Keith, I know that. I was looking at Chris right
Yeah.
above you.
Gotcha.
Hi, Keith. How are you?
Hi, good evening.
Good.
Uh,
Well, I'll let you take it from here.
all right. I know that I sent you the budget and the memo explaining it, so I'll just call that up just so that's something that we can look at and talk to.
Sure.
All right. So, as I described in the memo, the budget for FY27 did go up by about 34,000. To cover some of the new expenses that were there. Unfortunately, after I submitted the budget and everything, I found out some of my services, like the cloud services and everything, are going up about 10,000 more. So that was not captured in this budget here. So right now I'm projecting to be a little short for next year. So for personnel, it's myself, right? And so we included the increase in that for myself, and then we have a part-time technician. We did ask to increase his hours from 16 hours to 19 hours, so that way he'll be there at least half time to be able to support the employees of town there. So that was included in the budget. You can see we have equipment repair, so that's things like keyboards, monitors, all of that stuff. As they break to do that. Software maintenance, that did go up. There was a 28.7 thousand increase. For switches and system maintenance, there's some new MFA multi-factor authentication services that were required to by the state and parents and all that stuff. We had to install some of those things in place, so that captures all of that increase. We have our online services. So again, like I mentioned, our internet, email, our email services are going up more than what was actually, projected to be here. I had just found out about that, like I said, right after the budget was submitted. You can see we have telephone services. So there was just some minor inflationary services. Printer, copier, multifunction copiers, all that stuff. I provide that, pay for that here. That stayed the same. Support services, that there was some inflationary increases, so I captured that in the budget. And then additional equipment, so some non-capital items, were included in there. So at a high level, that's what the budget looks like.
Thank you, Keith. You may want to speak with the town administrator potentially of asking for, the extra funds that you're short, since the budget is still in process. It's not final by any means, but you might want to have a conversation on that. So
Okay.
that would just be my suggestion to you.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'll certainly sit down. Prior to Jim's departure, there are a couple line items that we did flag just because there might be some last minute changes, and we do know that some of the numbers that we have, just because it's so early in the fiscal year in the grand scheme of things, we're still running on estimates. So as we get closer to the submission deadline, we'll firm up a couple of these other numbers so that our estimates are as accurate as they can be, and we'll get you the updated request.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Cindy, go ahead.
Hi, Keith. So in the big picture,
Yeah.
do you feel that even with the increased hours with having a part-time person, do you feel that there's adequate staffing to deal with the day-to-day issues, tech issues that occur throughout town hall? I mean, everything gets more and more sophisticated all the time. There are new software, new problems, things don't work the way they thought. People don't know how to use them. I mean, are you seeing that there's more and more demand for time from someone like you or your assistant?
There's always more demand, right? Like you said, everything is technology based now. Our phones, our printers, everything is all very much technology based, and having a person there, is certainly helpful on a potentially a full-time basis. So that way, they're available whenever someone has a problem. So having like my technician there for half the time, right? So half the day, if there's a problem, he can respond right away. Otherwise, he would respond at a later date, or I would address something later that evening or something, later that day, in order to resolve that. So we do try to cover everything, but there's always a demand for
Right.
assistance.
I guess I bring that up because, we're going more and more online with so many fees and applications that we didn't do even, 2-3 years ago, between beach passes and now building permits and so many of the other certificates that people are seeking are now available online. And if that's not working, then either we're not getting the revenue or the public isn't being served. So,
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a problem, but at least with the increase in hours, that person works pretty much roughly half a day every day, or is there some day that he's not there at all?
Try to keep him there a half a day every day.
Okay.
So that way, help is not more than, half a day away kind of.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you encountered any problems like that were significant enough that things have come to kind of a grinding halt?
It depends. From a desktop, if someone's having a problem with their application, that's one person, right? It's an inconvenience for them, but it doesn't stop the entire town. Whereas, if a server went down, right, then that would be
Right.
a major, major issue, major inconvenience for a lot more people. So some of the things that I'm trying to do is to build more redundancy into the infrastructure. So having redundant network switches and redundant servers and all of that stuff. So I can I'm trying to keep our uptime from a system-wide perspective, as available as possible. So we're looking to use technology in order to, to better serve the town.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Before Chris, 1 second, I just want to follow up, Keith, on Cindy's question and point. So there's the user help, right? But what about, to me, there's so much with malware and fraud and just, there's so much going on. I know where I work, we have a separate IT service that supports us and sends us trainings weekly on the newest digital malware or just and it's even inconceivable to me. I barely understand the training because I barely understand how do these people figure these things out and get away with it. And so how are you doing on that aspect? Because you're just one person and you can't be an expert in everything. How do you help the town stay safe?
So we put a lot of technology in place. Like we have endpoint protections, which is basically like antivirus software, malware, catches malware and all of that stuff. So that's in place. We have, firewalls that are in place that block us from the internet and stop a lot of the, malware from coming in, people hacking our systems and all of that. Like I mentioned, we're in the process of setting up the multi-factor authentication. So everyone will get like a little token, right? And then they'll, when they log into their email, they'll have to use the token that says, that they're who they say they are. So we're in the process of putting all those things in. As far as help, we do have the help desk, right? So when people have an issue on their computer or something, they can call the help desk. They open a ticket. If that person at the help desk can fix it, they help them right away. If they can't, they'll notify myself or the technician, and then we'll respond and address those issues. So we work very closely with the help desk. They monitor all of our systems on a 24-hour basis. So, I obviously can't be there 24 hours a day, but, if there's a network switch that goes down or a server that goes down, they're monitoring that, and then they'll notify me, and then I know to either they try to fix it, and if they can't, then they notify me, and then I'll go in and address the issue and fix it. So that's been working out pretty well, over the years here. I think we're starting to really get into, where that's beneficial to all of us there.
Are you able to do employee trainings?
We do send out, excuse me, we do have, cyber type trainings. We send out, what they call campaigns, right? So they'll, send out what could be a malicious email that says, hey, you should click on this email, click on this link, if you want to win $500 or something like that, right? And you click on it and you go, and it tells you, oh, you shouldn't have clicked on that. Or that was bad for you. So we kind of do those kind of campaigns to help people understand what's good and what's bad in an email. So that goes out, I think, every quarter or something like that. So we do those campaigns. It's part of the services that we get. Excuse me.
Thanks, Keith. I'll go ahead, Chris. Go ahead. Thank you, Keith.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Really just to piggyback on some of the things that Keith said. So, our part-time technician, he has a set number of hours. He's more or less set up a process where people can send him, instant messages, so for whatever reason, if he is away from his station, people can connect with him. So he's set that up, and he's made himself fairly accessible in the short amount of time that he's been in the town hall. And that's very helpful for, I guess, consistency purposes. If people know, hey, I can go and I can get the assistance. Great, you have that, that one-on-one support. Like Keith said, we are also backed up with an IT firm, for emergencies or just general assistance if you're stuck and you need assistance on an item. But in general, cybersecurity, there's so many facets to it. And I think as we go on, not necessarily showing up in the operational budget, but on the capital side, as we move forward, what are some of those investments, whether it's dual factor authentication or it's looking at workstations, endpoint protection is one thing, making sure that I don't go and click on a malicious link, but also making sure that, the software we have is an end of life, right? Because they don't do security updates on those things anymore. So, those type of protections, those things, we'll plan out for. And, the last thing I'll say, at least with regards to, capacity in IT in Keith's time, I know it's been a short while. And so Keith and I, we have a one-on-one that we're going to be planning very soon, but, Keith has more or less sent me kind of a breakdown of his time. And, while it is more or less set hours and it's a contractual position, sometimes it goes over that, and consistently, I'm sure Keith would say it goes well over that in terms of the type of matters that he's dealing with day in and day out. And so, there's a lot of value that's coming to the town. And so what does that look like in future fiscal years? To TBD, at least from my seat. However, we'll make sure that we're putting the right investments into it. So
Thank you for
that's it
that,
me.
Chris. Thank you.
Mhm.
Cindy, you've got your hand up, right?
I forgot to take it down. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was newly up or. Anyone else have any questions for Keith? I just, Keith, I want to point out you put together a memo and sent, and the select board had it, and we have a copy of it too. So I think it's important for all of us to read that as well. Of all of, it's a high level summary of accomplishments that IT has done over the last few years. So I think you've done a phenomenal number of projects with, such limited staff. And again, your contract basis and not full time. So congratulations for all the efforts to getting the town of Westport as current as possible with all the projects that you've done. So I hope everybody, reads through that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I know when I put that together that when Jim had asked me to put it together so he could provide it to the select board, and after I'd given it to him, he's like, he was actually stunned. He like, I had no idea. He said, I know that you send out my, you know, monthly reports and all that stuff. He said, but seeing it all in one place, he said it really kind of, you know, struck home for him. So, so yeah, I hope you do get a chance to look at that and see. We have upgraded quite a bit in town. I think that we're in a fairly good position, I'll say. There's still some things to be done, but I think in general, we have a pretty good system, you know, comparable to or better than, you know, other communities. So I think that's good.
That's great. I see no other questions. So Keith, thank you again for coming. Appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right,
Have a
take care.
great night. Thank
All right,
you.
good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. All right, that's our 4 budgets for tonight. So our next item on the agenda is just a very brief discussion of the 2027 budget. I didn't circulate, I just got from, before when Jim had left, I think I never got a copy of his most recent round budget that he put together for the select board, which was mid-December. So Chris just forwarded that to me, so I'll forward that along to you all. But as we know, it's still relatively early in the process, so we're awaiting state aid, which is the biggest element of what the revenue is going to be. Chris, do you have has the state given any indication when the first round would be available? Have they given a timetable?
So it typically, you know, the first estimates come out end of January from the state aid side.
Yeah.
You know, also just, you know, we're still waiting, obviously benefits. You know, we have a very rough idea of what those increases may look like, but those numbers over the coming weeks, you know, we're hoping to get a little more firm information. And then just with regards to schools, you know, plan to have a conversation with Dr. Roy here in the coming days. And, you know, just want to keep the line of communication open with, you know, what they're seeing for increases in expenses. So those are the big outstanding items. And then the smaller things, you know, small increases across the department, unanticipated increases in licensing or software. You know, we'll capture those as we go.
And then there's Diamond and Bristol Aggie are the 2
Yes.
other assessments that are, Jim puts a good, usually a pretty solid placeholder in there, but we just never know, right?
Yeah.
So those are, and then health, I think you mentioned health insurance, right? Benefits is still open.
Yeah. So, you know, just looking at and, you know, discussing with Jim, his initial conversations, it's going to be a substantial increase. You know, they tapped into their reserves this past year. You know, coming from Dartmouth, we got the full brunt of it last fiscal year. And unfortunately, it's going to hit home here in Westport this year with those same type of increases. You know, we're probably looking at double digits. So, you know, it's something that's already built in, you know, to this first draft. You know, we're expecting that, you know, but where that comes in ultimately, you know, we want to make sure we're on the conservative side versus, you know, the higher end of that range.
Right. Right. Nope. Appreciate that. So, so I think that's where we stand every year at this time. And as we know, the select board would need to approve the budget by bylaw by February 20th, I think it is. So I think you probably have a meeting mid-February that would be the select board's time to approve. And again, there'll be unknowns even at that time, but we continue to work with you and the select board that if other things come through, then, you know, we can push it. Either you can provide a second select board budget, or we can incorporate it in the finance committee's version. So depending on what it is or how extensive it is. So it's not like the door is shut and then you can't talk about the budget anymore.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
keep
no.
things
And,
open, so.
and, you know, certainly first week, you know, obviously I've had introductory meetings with the departments, but, you know, some of the one-on-one meetings, you know, if there are, you know, pending items with regards to the budget, I want to make sure I'm going to dedicate time to sit down with each of the departments and make sure it's captured as best to my ability. Again, things come up, and if I need to come back and retool some numbers, I will definitely do that. But with regards to the select board schedule, they have a meeting later this month, I think the 26th. It'll be on their agenda for discussion again. We did have some good conversation last night just with regards to some of their priorities, things that they want to look at on their line, the select board line. And then again, any updated estimates, we'll put that in and we'll send it out as a formal update.
Yep, perfect. And I think, and I'm sure you've seen in the past, Jim had done a great job that as each budget got revised, he would have a quick little memo that kind of highlighted, here's the major things, like we took out this position or added this position. So that's helpful from a change management point of view, so we can kind of help keep track of what's changing. So
Absolutely.
I'm sure you'll be doing that, and that's helpful
Yeah.
for us too. So,
And, I guess just for all the members on the call, if there's suggestions or how I can best serve this committee, please feel free to reach out to me at any point, because again, I'm here to serve you as well. So yeah,
I appreciate
but thank
that.
you for the feedback.
Yeah, thank you. So that's it for the budget update. So anything else for Chris? Anybody want to have any questions for Chris? All right, I guess we can let you free too. Or you can stay, but it's, we're on the home stretch
no
of our
problem.
meetings. So.
Sure. Yeah. Just the last thing I'll say is I do know
Sure.
that over the next couple weeks you're deliberating on the other budgets, similar to tonight. I'll plan to be on as well in the coming weeks. So
That'd be terrific. We appreciate
Oh.
your being.
I'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah, thank you. See you next week. All right.
See
Thank
you
you,
guys.
Chris.
Have a
Great
good
to meet
night.
you. All right.
You
good
as
night.
well. Bye.
All right, so the next item on our agenda is there any committee or liaison updates that anyone has to share?
Hi, good
Hi,
evening.
Nancy.
I talked to Sean,
Oh, great.
so he would, I think 127 is a date for,
Okay,
so if he would like to present then, they have a draft. He just needs to get his board to approve it, and he would be ready to present on 127, and would appreciate if you could put him in the first position because he has some other things.
okay, sure. Yep, let me write that down. Okay, first position. Sure thing. Thank you for tracking them down, Nancy.
Not a problem.
Hugh, go ahead.
I just want to say, I've talked to Chris Brown. I have a date on Friday to talk about the budget, et cetera. I'm pretty sure they're up to speed, but that's what we tend to do usually. So I think they're all set to go.
You talked to who on Friday?
I'm sorry,
Hugh?
Chris Brown, the police department.
Oh, Chris Dunn. Okay, great. Thank you. Great. Cindy, go ahead.
And also I'm going to reach out this week to the representative for Diamond to get a slot for him. I'll ask him if he has some preferred dates. I'm sure it's not a lengthy discussion. Hopefully we'd be able to fit him into any of the weeks that are available. So I'm reaching out to him this week. I figured I'd wait until after the first of the year. And he is running for re-election this year too. So I'm sure that he will be anxious to have some airtime with us.
And it'd be helpful if they, if when they come out, they already have their numbers would be nice, but.
Oh, I don't know
that's
if
possible.
that will be,
Right.
I don't know. I
Right.
don't know. So typically I was only going to invite Jennings, who is the representative. I know in the past, we've had some other members of the full board. I guess I will leave it up to him as to whether or not he wants to include
Yeah.
other people that he might feel are better suited to speak to us about the budget. So his first name escapes me. His last name is Jennings. His first name escapes me right now. But I'm going to reach out to him this week. I know Paula has his contact information.
Right.
So
Maybe Paul or Peter, does that sound right?
yeah, Paul Jennings. Yeah, I think
Maybe,
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Paul Jennings.
sure.
Yeah, something like
Not
that.
sure. Thank you. Anyone else for any updates?
Madam Chair, I just did have one question. I had emailed you about the possibility of switching the school department's budget to present on the 3rd of February as opposed to the 10th. Was that something that was going to be possible, or?
Yeah, we addressed that right away. I sent an email out, confirmed the date. We switched the date. It's on our agenda schedule is the 3rd. Yes.
Okay.
I
The
thought
last schedule I said I saw still had the 10th, so
Okay.
that's
Yep.
what I thought we had.
Yes,
I
yes.
just want to double check. All
Nope,
right,
we
thank you.
got you. Yes,
All right,
yes,
good.
it's official. Yes, we're officially the 3rd.
All right, thank you.
All right. So we've got 5 weeks in a row of meetings. No break. Yes. All right. All right. If no other, Cindy, you've got your hand up, but that's probably from before, right?
Yeah, I'm not quick with the thumb today.
Okay. No, that's okay.
Sorry.
All right. So the next item is the minutes of December 9th. Can we hold on those? And the reason I always battle with the minutes that they become conversational and they should be a little less. And I think since we have such discussions with the budgets, it tends to be this big conversation, but I'm not sure the minutes should or necessarily reflect as much conversation that's in there. I don't know what other people's thoughts are on those.
Edit away.
Okay, I will. All right.
Harry, you may remember me saying in the past, a good summary is sometimes discussion ensued.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. And I think that's I think the key, that we had a budget discussion to discuss the budget with X department. And then if something extraordinary came up as a follow-up item or something to note, we put that in the minutes, but otherwise not. But thank you. I'll try to edit those down a bit. All right. Thank you for that. Any other comments from anybody on those? No. Okay. Next item is correspondence. I have no correspondence. The upcoming budgets, just to let everyone know, it's on the agenda too. And Christopher, I think you're right. I think the draft I sent may have had oh wait, this one seems wrong too. Maybe I have the old one, sorry. I think you're right, Christopher. I think the first draft that I'd sent still had the wrong date, but then we fixed it for the posting. So January 13th, we have police, town clerk, register of voters, treasurer, collector, and debt. On the 20th, we'll have fire, recreation, assessors, and planning board. On the 27th, we have highway, town accountant, and we will have the beach committee. And then on February 3rd, we have Westport Community Schools, and that should take care of it. All right, so I have nothing else. So if anybody has anything else, otherwise a motion.
So Karen, I will ask the question.
Sure.
And when I speak
Yeah.
with Mr. Jennings, it looks like many of those other weeks are, were pretty full. So do you want, the 10th of February? I know that we would still be meeting on going over some of the budgets. We would still, so I'll start him with the 10th of February. Because it looks like our other nights are pretty
Right, are
pretty full.
pretty busy. Yeah, and this is the thing with Diamond, because it's non-critical to the fiscal budget, because it's not as though anything's discretionary. So
Right.
to load it
It's
in
more
our
informative. It's
time.
more, right. It's more informative than anything else.
right. Yeah.
So,
it's less important.
I'll start him out with the 10th.
Yeah, okay, or
Um,
even, a little dates out later in February.
Correct,
or
but no
fine,
earlier,
anyway.
no earlier than the 10th.
Right,
Okay,
right.
that's good
Yeah,
to know.
I say that's good. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
Yeah, because maybe we could have a week off somewhere in there.
Right, I wouldn't be opposed to
Fine
that.
Okay,
All right, thank you. All right, so I'll send
Can
off
anybody
next
hear
week's
me? Because I
agenda.
can't hear Karen,
oh,
You-
yeah, we can hear you,
or
yeah.
anybody else for that matter.
Oh, you can't hear us?
Can everybody else hear it? Here?
I can hear.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hi, Karen.
Yeah.
Karen, I need to have the link resent to me for the access to the Google Drive.
Okay, sure.
For some reason, I was getting it at first and now I'm not, because I
Okay,
like to put
sure.
all these, I like to put these budgets in hard copy in a folder. I like,
Yep.
right.
that's how I like to operate.
Sure.
Even during trials, I don't care how electronic they get, I still hard copy.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with being old school. Nothing wrong with that.
Coming back very faintly.
Yeah.
There it is. I can hear it again.
I'll send you the link, absolutely.
No idea why.
All right.
All right, no worries. right.
Motion to adjourn.
I
Second,
suspected that was what was next, but I wasn't sure.
I'm ready.
All
second,
right, we have a motion and a
second?
second. Yeah, there
All
you
right,
go.
so all right, so Hugh.
Now I can't hear anybody again.
Oh,
Right.
we're adjourning. That's the most important.
Yeah.
we'll,
Well, we don't
Hugh,
need his vote.
all right.
There you go. You said thumbs up.
Hugh's motion, yes, okay.
Okay.
Cindy,
Cindy Brown, aye.
thank you. Nancy,
Nancy Stan, cross-eye.
Christopher,
Christopher Thrasher, aye.
Duncan,
Duncan Law, aye.
and Karen Rouse, aye. I got everybody right.
Yes.
All right, good night, everyone. See you next week. Repeat
Thank you.
performance.
Thank you.
Good night.